Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the BNS of 2023, and we are zooming right in on Section 4. Think of this as the exact menu of consequences the state can hand down. Whether you're a legal pro, a law student, or just someone fascinated by the mechanics of justice, let's dive right in and see exactly how this modern framework is structured.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The 6 BNS punishments. 2. Capital and life sentences. 3. 2 types of imprisonment. 4. Property and financial penalties. 5. Community service, restorative justice. And finally, 6. The spectrum of law. We're essentially taking a chronological journey down the severity scale, moving from absolute, severe retributive justice all the way down to restorative rehabilitation. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The 6 BNS punishments, a strict legal framework.
Now, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is the number 6. Under Section 4 of the 2023 BNS, the state is given exactly 6 categorical ways to penalize offenders. That's it. No more, no less. It creates a very clear, rigid spectrum of consequences that offenders are liable to. This number 6, it's kind of your anchor for everything we're about to explore today. So let's start right at the absolute top of that severity spectrum.
Section 2. Capital and life sentences. The ultimate penalties.
Okay, so the death penalty, or capital punishment. It's obviously not a standard response to crime. The law explicitly dictates that it's awarded exclusively for grave, heinous offenses, specifically in the rarest of rare cases. It is literally reserved for the absolute extremes of criminal behavior. You have to meet this highly specific, incredibly stringent legal doctrine before the state can take a life.
But there's a really fascinating guardrail built directly into the BNS here, and it's 18. Under Section 6, this is an absolute boundary. The law explicitly states that the death penalty cannot, under any circumstances, be passed on anyone who is under 18 years of age at the time they committed the offense. It's a defining limitation, ensuring strict age-based protection within the bounds of the law, no matter how severe the crime actually was.
Moving to the next ultimate penalty, Section 7 brings some incredible semantic precision to the phrase life sentence. It is strictly defined as imprisonment for the remainder of a person's natural life. So we're not talking about a vague time frame or a set number of years here. It's absolute finality. When the BNS says life, it means exactly that. The complete remainder of your natural existence is spent in confinement.
Section 3. 2 types of imprisonment. The loss of liberty.
So as we move down the spectrum, the BNS explicitly divides imprisonment into 2 distinct realities. First, you've got rigorous imprisonment, which legally mandates that the confinement involves hard labor. And then contrast that with simple imprisonment, which is exactly what it sounds like, confinement without that grueling physical mandate. Why does the law differentiate this? Well, because the system distinguishes between merely losing your freedom and taking on the heavy burden of physical exertion. The penalty isn't just the cell itself, it's the actual nature of the time you spend inside it.
Section 4. Property and financial penalties. Targeting assets.
All right, let's briskly break down these 2 financial deterrents. First up, the forfeiture of property. This is a highly targeted action, a court-directed confiscation of specific property belonging to the offender. Essentially, it's the state actively seizing physical assets. Second, we have a fine, which is just your straightforward monetary penalty imposed upon conviction. These are crisp, traditional punitive measures. They're designed to serve as deterrents by hitting an offender's wallet and resources, rather than restricting their physical liberty.
Section 5. Community service. Restorative justice.
Now, here's where things get really interesting. Community service represents a massive shift in the framework. It's a progressive form of restorative justice, where offenders perform unpaid work for the benefit of the community. You can probably notice the shift in tone here, right? It's inherently optimistic. Instead of simply punishing someone or isolating them to make them suffer a loss, the law is actively asking them to give back. It focuses entirely on making amends and repairing the social fabric.
And this is a true landmark inclusion because it's entirely new to the BNS. Now, to be clear, it doesn't apply to grave crimes. It applies specifically to minor or prescribed offenses, but it completely flips the script. Instead of an offender sitting in a cell costing the state money, they're out there performing unpaid community work. It's a total pivot, moving away from purely retributive punishment and straight into active community rehabilitation, a real game changer.
Section 6. The spectrum of law. A structural shift.
So looking at the full picture now, we can see how the law spans this massive, complete spectrum. We started at pure retributive justice with death and life sentences. Then we moved down the severity scale through the loss of liberty and assets, your imprisonment, fines, and forfeiture. And finally, we landed in the highly progressive realm of restorative justice with community service. It really is a comprehensive structural spectrum of consequences. So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Does this exact six-part spectrum actually strike the right balance between severe retribution and progressive rehabilitation? Understanding this precise scale is absolutely essential for grasping how our modern legal framework actually operates. Thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive today. Keep questioning the structures around you, and I will see you in the next explainer.